Once upon a time, in a vast forest filled with tall ancient trees and a peaceful shimmering lake, lived two unlikely friends, Arin the owl and Rajhans the swan. Rajhans was no ordinary swan. He was the wise and respected leader of all the swans who lived in the Grand Lake. His days were filled with responsibilities, settling disputes, guiding his flock, and protecting them from danger. Arin, on the other hand, was just a simple owl who lived alone in a hollow tree. He had no family, no followers, and no importance in the forest. But he had one thing, his friendship with Rajhans. However, Arin carried a secret in his heart. He was ashamed of who he really was. So one day, when Rajhans asked about his life, Arin lied. "I too am a king," he said proudly. "I rule over a vast land, and many creatures follow my command." Rajhans smiled gently. Deep inside, he sensed the truth, but he chose kindness over confrontation, a growing friendship built on lies. Every day, Arin would visit the lake. "Good morning, Rajhans," he would call. "Good morning, my friend," Rajhans would reply warmly. Sometimes Rajhans would pause their conversations to solve problems among his swans. Arin watched all this with mixed feelings: admiration, jealousy, and insecurity. One evening, after returning to his lonely tree, Arin thought, "If Rajhans finds out the truth, he will stop respecting me, maybe even stop being my friend." From that day, Arin became desperate to prove his false greatness. One afternoon, while flying through the forest, Arin noticed a group of monkeys playing near a fruit grove. Suddenly, an idea struck him. The next day, he told Rajhans, "Come, I will show you my kingdom." He took Rajhans to the grove and said proudly, "These monkeys are my subjects. They gather fruits for me." Just then, the monkeys began throwing fruits at each other and making loud noises. Arin quickly hooted loudly, trying to act commanding. Coincidentally, the monkeys scattered in fear. "See," Arin said proudly, "they obey me." Rajhans nodded, but his eyes reflected quiet concern. Days later, Arin found a camp of soldiers resting in the forest. Again, his mind filled with prideful thoughts. This will prove my greatness." He brought Rajhans there and declared, "This is my army." At that very moment, Arin hooted loudly. "Who? Who?" The soldiers froze. "The owl," their commander shouted nervously. "It is a bad omen. We must delay our journey." Arin puffed his chest with pride. Rajhans watched silently. The next day, the same thing happened, and the day after that. Each time, Arin hooted, and each time the soldiers delayed their march. The warning ignored. That evening, Rajhans finally spoke gently. "Arin, my friend, sometimes it is not wise to interfere with others again and again." But Arin laughed. "You worry too much. Did you not see how powerful I am?" Rajhans sighed but said nothing more. The tragic day. On the third day, as the soldiers prepared once again to march, Arin flew proudly above them and hooted even louder than before. Who? This time the commander lost his patience. "That cursed bird!" he shouted angrily. "Stop him once and for all." A soldier immediately raised his bow. Arin noticed the movement just in time and quickly flew away. But Rajhans, standing beside him, did not. The arrow flew through the air and struck Rajhans. He fell to the ground. The final moments. Arin rushed back in horror. "Rajhans, no, this cannot be." Rajhans looked at him with calm, fading eyes. "My friend," he whispered, "I always knew. You were not a king." Tears filled Arin's eyes. "Why didn't you say anything?" Rajhans gave a weak smile. "Because friendship is not about status." With that, Rajhans closed his eyes forever. Arin's realization. The forest fell silent. Arin sat beside his friend, overwhelmed with grief. My lies, my pride, my foolishness have taken away the only true friend I had. From that day on, Arin never pretended again. He lived a quiet life, helping others, speaking truth, and carrying the memory of Rajhans in his heart. Moral of the story: pride and lies may impress others for a moment, but they always lead to regret. True friendship is built on honesty, not status,